Good evening and welcome to the Board of Water Commissioners for Mendon meeting of June 5th, 2025. Just a reminder, this meeting is being held both in person and remote under legislation passed under former Governor Baker and again under current Governor Moore Healy. And this meeting is being recorded. Because we're online as well as in person, all votes will be roll call votes tonight. And just to announce that all three board members, Kevin Rudden, Alan Canton, Finn, what do I forget your last name?
Vincent Roy,
as well as our more than able clerk, Dan Byer, are present. That was the first item on our agenda. The second is to review and look at the minutes for December 5th, January 24, January 2nd of 25, and February 13th of 25, which Dan sent out earlier today. Has everybody read the minutes?
yes, I have.
Alan,
I approve the minutes.
have you read the minutes?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I approve.
You have them, right? Good. Copy of these here.
I was satisfied with the minutes.
You want to make a motion to approve them then? We can just do the two of us and Alan doesn't.
I'll make a motion. I move to approve the minutes of December 5th, 2024, January 2nd, 2025, February 13th, 2025, as written.
Alan, do you want a second or do you want to abstain?
I'm saying
Okay, so the motion was made by Mr. Roy, seconded by Mr. Kent. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Please use your name.
Roy, aye.
aye.
That was Alan Kent. And the chair, Kevin Rudden, will make it unanimous.
Well, caught up?
Yeah,
Perfect.
believe it or not.
Okay, we have two quick things, and then we have some guests in the audience. We'll move them up on the agenda so they don't have to sit through the rest of it.
Thank you.
Q4 billing commitment, Dan?
Yeah, so it's, I mean, you signed it, but
Okay.
we sent out the fourth quarter bills, everything looks normal. I'm just looking through to see if there's anything that stuck out to me. Water usage is up.
Good.
Despite a wet spring.
I put the link to the quarter. The average daily consumption is roughly the same,
Okay.
because it's a longer time period, but we're in good shape. I didn't,
Okay.
maybe I didn't put a specific item in terms of the budget. We should be on track to, we're gonna close at a profit, but it's gonna be close to breaking even because of those leaks.
Excuse me, reserved earnings.
Yeah.
We don't make a profit.
Um,
Okay, all three members have signed the commitment. We also have a final bill for 43 Keith Road, and all three board members have signed that commitment.
I have one question. I just want to bring up one on the billing.
Yes, sir.
How's it match up with what
Projected.
we're being billed from Hopedale?
I have to sit down and look at it. It's hard because the date's up.
Okay.
It's off almost, can be as much as a month.
Yeah.
You know, because Hopedale, of course.
The thing here, let me pull the numbers up for
Raising the
Hopedale. Give me a second. Basic usage. Nothing stood out, so we tracked the Hopedale usage.
Right, okay.
Nothing stood out,
Like.
yeah.
Okay.
So the most recent bill from Hopedale was the third quarter bill. So Cape Road was 216, and a year ago it was 246, before that it was 205, so it was, we had some leaks, so.
The reason why I asked is about the unaccountable water, but
Yeah, no.
our unaccountable water is under 10% anyways. I don't think we talk about.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, who the heck knows, but I think I'm not nervous about it. It's not like, because that's what happened years ago, is nobody was looking at this.
Yeah.
And they were just paying the bill, and then they got 3/4 in, and said, we're out of money.
Well, don't forget,
That was way back.
we had that year-long leak on Hartford Avenue
Right.
that was mysteriously discovered when we complained about it. All of a sudden, it was found.
Right, yeah.
So whereas today, we're much more attentive to leaks.
No
So
question.
especially the last one happened here right in front of Brazos.
Yeah.
And of course, we used them to fix them. So they had actually started fixing it before we even knew it existed.
Yeah,
Fortunately, they came to the surface, or unfortunately.
but not all leaks up at the surface, so yeah, so
And we do need to do-
a leak detection.
Yeah, let me look at when we
Leak
last
detection
did
survey last year.
We've done it every year.
Yeah, okay.
Jesse, hang on.
Yeah.
That was,
We just finished up. with
It's a best practice.
It is, no question.
I just want to.
Actually, I've got something really cool that I want to bring up. Oh, wait.
We can do it.
Well, I know.
You want to share that with us?
Yeah.
You're here.
I'm trying to see if I can find his email when we last had Jesse come out. I think it was we probably should have it, it was in the spring of 24, so we probably should do it again.
Yeah. I would think so.
It's
I
time.
think I would wait till the new fiscal year though at this point.
I would, yeah.
Because we're,
But it's time.
we're really tight on the budget.
Once every calendar year, we should be doing it. I love the hydrophones. I actually went along with him in Norfolk once, and he put the headphones on me, and I never realized you could hear water.
Oh, yeah. Depending on the material of the pipe and stuff like that, if it's like cast iron, like copper, like it transmits sound really well.
But even with heavy traffic, we were on one of the main roads in Hopefully, with
Yeah.
heavy traffic, we put the headphones
Yeah.
on me. He said, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
The technology.
So there's some new technology out there, a pilot program right now. They've got these little listening devices that bolt right on the
And
plant.
hydrants, I've seen a little bit about that come out.
There's a company in Framingham that developed technology called 64 seconds. Part of a pilot
How
program,
many seconds?
64.
They will find a leak within 64 seconds?
No, it's just the name of the company.
Oh, okay.
No, you can program these things, and I'll be really brief.
Yeah, what do they cost?
They're about $100 a pop. And there's a shelf life to battery too. Batteries are good for about 10 years. But the thing is,
How many hydrants do we have?
40.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Everyone, or-
so the company donated 50 to us.
You said $100 each?
Yeah, we got about 1,300 hydrants, yeah.
But you have to put them in.
But, you know, you don't wanna put them in every hydrant anyways, Kevin. You target old areas, old parts of town where.
So the
the
whole
nice thing
system.
about this,
That's the whole Cape Road system.
yeah, so, and then you pick up these, and then these things are all connected, via a cloud, you're able to download the information.
For $1,000. For all of them. And with 10-year life. So that's every one of them.
Yeah.
That's $400 a year.
That said, once we get the Cape Road meter replaced.
Yes.
Custom meters, we'll be able to do math,
Down the road,
but.
I've already mentioned it.
True, but I'll tell you, if you only target
Just old
a quarter
areas.
of the hydrants,
What's that, Kevin? I'm sorry?
what'd you say, 40 hydrants?
Yeah, 47 hydrants or something like that.
40.
Yeah, but if we targeted a quarter of the oldest,
Yeah, right.
that's very
Old parts of
affordable
town.
over time.
Yeah. Probably like your area, you know, that pipe, I don't know how old that pipe.
Well, except all our leaks are on town.
1940s?
Yeah, there you go.
Remember, the leak in front of Brazos, that was the first time that pipe was exposed, and it went in the ground
Yeah,
in the mid-40s, late 40s?
47.
47,
yeah, there you go. There's in every one of that.
which is when, you know,
So I'll let you know more about it.
Yeah, let me know, but I think
I'll talk to the company too.
we should, if we wait a little bit too, wait till all this construction is done and then have them do another survey and make sure all the new stuff is good too, like down Linton Road.
Well, you want a service connection fees that you're getting from? Actually,
That's
yes.
what
We have
I,
no connection.
We have no connections.
I think when all that's done, it's worth putting on the agenda for like October, November, just to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I have an item on here too to talk about related to this.
maybe spread the cost even with the town or something.
Well,
Caution on the town.
the town pays the hydrant fees.
Yeah,
So, but you know,
Anyway,
topic for another time.
before we get to our guests, any other invoices received prior to the meeting, Dan?
no, so we have, the invoice we have,
We're
I
signing
need to
all
go
off.
through is the, Whitewater monthly billing.
Yep.
It looks like their costs are going up 8%.
Doesn't surprise me.
They are changing how they're doing their billing, which is a good thing. They're, instead of billing us per like item for labs,
Yep,
they're gonna take our sample schedule and figure that out and break it up over 12 months. So our new bills will just have a, like this bill is $300 and then a $70 lab fee.
Yep.
That way it's even. It makes things, because one of the things that's happening with, it's really easy to lose when you get 7 separate invoices for all the other tests. And labor for tests.
I like that. You know, they're listening to their customers and making it easy.
There will be some one-offs, like the stuff issue we had in town hall where there's unplanned testing, but all the planned testing will be calculated and averaged out, which would be a little easier to deal with.
Anything that makes it easier.
So if you're cool, it would maybe just,
And
Vote to
they're
approve
going up
this.
8%.
It's going up 8%.
My vendors, I've already, believe it or not, started contacting my vendors for fiscal 27. And I've got 3 of them going up 8.5 to 9%. And I'm like, guess what? I gotta cut back on what I buy from you because I only go up 1.5%. So,
Yeah, we're seeing there's some projects that we've bid out, all the drinking water chemicals and stuff like that. We actually had an escalator in for, believe it or not, tariffs were impacting drinking water chemicals too.
we just
And I'm sure Hopedale will probably get information on us.
did an
I heard from
RFP
them,
for a new
but-
highway department, water department building in Holliston.
Yeah.
All the bidders put in an escalator clause for steel.
Yeah, tariffs.
It basically says, this is the price as of this date.
Yeah.
We expect steel to go up depending on tariffs. And they suggested we add another 20 to 30% on the price.
This is where we live in today.
Well, I know when my son in North Carolina got his new house last year, the builder put in the contract, they put in an escalator clause that said, we will notify you, this is the price based on the price of materials the day you sign the contract. And it was written into the contract that they will supply pricing increases per month for them, but they're out of their control. Yeah, their house wound up costing $40,000 more than the original cost. They started building it in 23 and finished in 24, which is when the, plywood went from $20 a 4x8 to over 100.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Are you willing to approve me signing this voucher? So it's Whitewater, it's the monthly testing, so it's, let me see what this is.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
The public system is 1480, the town buildings are 1483, and then the library, which is separate, because exactly later is 406.
okay, then we already made a motion to allow Dan to sign the bill. Alan, do you second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Roy, aye.
Anti, and the chair will make it unanimous. We have one piece of new business before we get to our guest. And that is, it says NA, but we did have it in our draft agenda, Dan and I. We recently went through the town elections, so it's time to name
Oh, new chair?
name a new chair. I leave it up to the pleasure of the board. I notice Alan is up for re-election next year.
So, Alan.
Alan, do you wish to be chairman for the next fiscal year?
You're doing a fine job.
Okay.
Can someone make a motion for a chair?
I move that we nominate Kevin as the chair of the water commission for the next fiscal year, 2026.
That was Van Roy. Alan, do you second?
Second.
Alan can second it. I make it unanimous. I remain the chair. Okay, now we're gonna jump the agenda down to item 7, customers and billing. We have some guests here to discuss a curb stop at Eat Bates. You want to explain it? and then
I
move
can
on?
give you the background here. So they had reached out a while ago, pre-COVID, I think it was a week or something, but this valve in the house didn't work, or there was some reason they had to shut the water off. The curb stop didn't work.
Yeah.
We ended up using our pipe freeze kit. That was when we first got it. Had to freeze the pipe, put a new service valve on.
Yep.
Which is terrifying, and I never want to do that again.
Yeah,
But it
You're
worked.
talking about the curb stop?
The
Come on, it
freezing.
wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it worked, it was good, it was just, it's a little, nerve wracking, but yeah, so we put a new shut off in their basement.
It actually works really well.
Yeah,
I know, you have to be different. That's funny. But you've never done it before, so I get it.
okay.
They were not the first one, we tested it in the
Okay.
thing first. Anyway, so the question, I think, they had called me about whether or not we were gonna go back and replace the curb stop that isn't operable. But I think the issue is that, my guess is the pin broke, so the rod just spins.
Well, I thought we replaced the curb stop. That was the whole
We
idea.
replaced the shut off in the basement.
Oh, now we gotta go back and dig at the curb.
And the problem here is, we can't afford that anyway. We probably have 30 curb stops out there that are in varying states of condition. So I guess the question is, what's our responsibility? How, I'm how you handle this in Sudbury, or
Yeah.
what
It's a
to
tough.
do about
We
it?
have a shut off that we put in the
They
basement.
have a street side shut off on the street side of the meter, but it's in the basement. That's what's existing right now.
So there is a way.
There's a way to shut the water off at that point.
Well, that's so you can isolate it in the house.
But there's like
2 feet of pipe
Right,
before that,
Exposed in the basement.
exposed in the basement. So this goes back like 6 years ago,
That's just sitting there.
like pre-COVID. Yeah, that,
So if
we
there's
were
any
told it
leak
was
on the
gonna be
line, we
changed.
would have to shut down the main.
I mean,
Would have to shut down
We have to shut down the main.
What's
Or
the
do it
approximate, what's the approximate cost for replacing that curb stop?
so when this first started, we tried to get quotes for them, and nobody would call us back. And finally, we ended up just changing the service valve in the basement and solving the short-term problem.
Can we get a quote now?
I can tell you in the past, when I talked to Hydrotech, for them to come out with a vac truck, it's $5,000 a day.
way.
They can do multiple, things.
Yeah, and that's Hydrotech. Is there anybody else we can call, could Brazos change it?
Probably, but we're, and there's probably, because they're not the only ones, I know of at least 1 or 2 more, we found one on Edwards Road that.
Yeah, but this is the one with an issue.
Well, without, I mean, I don't know how you define an issue, I guess.
Well,
No, it's
we're
a-
hoping it's not gonna be an issue.
It's an issue. If-
I mean,
Look, it's been hanging for 6 years.
Yeah.
And he did his due diligence, I mean,
Yeah.
we were, I just wanna say that, you know, we were in communication, but now here we are, and it's
If
still
there's an
not working.
emergency,
Yeah, I look at it this way. There may be, let's say there's 8 of them that you're replacing, but nobody else has this issue that you have. So to me, that becomes a problem to solve. We know we can't afford all the broken ones. But what could we do to solve your problem, because it's been pending 6 years? And I think that's a valid issue.
it is.
I mean, I will say the advantage to it, it's a fortune, but if they come in with a vac truck, they can do 10 or 15.
Oh my
they can
God.
do a bunch of them.
I would not get them, I'll get, they're,
Yeah.
But what is
Or something else. I have no idea. My guess is it's easily 1,000, if not 5, based on things we've done.
per curb stop?
Because they have to show up, dig a big giant hole, potentially change it live, or hopefully just fix it. I don't know how big of a hole if it just is, I don't know what they can do.
You only gotta, it's not that big of a hole.
Well, can
With
we,
the valve, ideally the valve is okay.
With the, because I'm sure the highway department has a backhoe.
They have a full-size backhoe, but
Brazos
they're not
not the only
really,
one.
at this point, they're not really trained or
No,
able to do water work.
But Brazos is,
They go, oh, you fixed that fucking box.
Brazos is, they fixed 4 leaks for us in the last 2
Yeah.
years. They have the little thing. The question is, what happens if it's broken down there?
Then you gotta replace it.
Then they
You do the
get,
same thing, you would freeze the pipe down.
And what does that cost?
Well, do we own the freeze kit?
we have the freeze kit.
We have to freeze kit.
Yeah, it's nothing to do. You
Brazos.
freeze the pipe, you can't freeze the pipe if there's running water, but if there's no leak, there's no running water, it's a jacket that goes around the pipe, you freeze the pipe, and then the ice serves as a valve.
But I
And then
can't
you-
see this taking more than a couple hours.
You'd be down there maybe 15, 20 minutes, Cal, once you got it
Well,
exposed.
can we
The whole
get,
job, 2 hours.
can we get a quote from Ross Construction? And if it's reasonable, we can take care of it after July 1?
Yeah, I can reach out to them. Like I said, they're not the only one that's in this situation, though. There's at least 3 or 4 I know of. There's probably 20.
Okay, but how
If you want-
how many did we put shut off valves in the house?
No, this is the only one we've done. Well, let me think through. No, the other one is valve work, so we didn't have to change a valve. In both those cases. One on Cape Road, the house that used to be part of the church,
Yeah,
their curb stop is seized.
we don't even know if the one I found under the tree I took out.
We never took out of yours.
A tree grew over.
There's one,
I removed the stump by hand because I'm too cheap to pay a stump remover. We found the shut off valve under the roots of the tree.
I
So
do
now
have
we
an
have to do.
I do have an update of a bigger picture item. So the town has done some restructuring. They're moving parks, landscaping, it's gonna fall under highway, and it's gonna become
Yay.
highway and grounds.
Yay!
I did actually, John mentioned to me the other day that he is looking to buy a mini excavator. That is something that's on their list. And I have talked to him a little bit about in the future, like you just said, they could do it. That would be ideal,
Okay.
but
I
they're,
know you're one man band,
well, no, it's them, but they're swamped.
yeah.
So if, in the future, it would be great if.
How many
we
guys
could-
have highway department?
5 or 6.
They're up to 5?
I believe it's 5.
Wow. When did that
And
happen?
this new position will be a full-time.
Yeah, honest to God, you're talking 2 hours.
All right, I look at this. We have a vendor on the system.
Yeah.
He's in the area. He's come to our aid on very short notice for 4 weeks. Okay?
And he's reputable.
He's reputable. I'm not gonna say anything of his prices, let's say he's very affordable.
We can
If
get right to it.
we contact, if we don't get an answer, I'll go track Paul down at his house like I
Yeah,
did to get.
well, we
the
have
business.
to, we need to go through, even though it's small, we need to get multiple quotes, I think. It's
You need three
expressed to me
quotes.
by leadership.
Yeah, you need three
Well, no,
quotes.
procurement wise, sound business practice.
You need
it's under-
three
You
verbal
want to get three
quotes.
quotes, I would solicit
Verbally.
three quotes, yeah,
But remember, if you contact three vendors and only one replies,
that's
you've
fine.
done your job.
All you need to do is solicit, nobody says
So-
you need three written quotes.
Why don't we
That's how the law
solicit,
works, yeah.
yes, and one of them is ask Highway.
Yeah.
Ask Brazza and ask Hydrotech.
You already got his quote,
Okay, you got Hydrotech's, Highway's gonna say we can't do it.
yeah,
And to me, that's a bid.
Yeah,
And we know Brazza's gonna come in the low bidder.
but Kev, you know legally,
No, you can't do Highway, you gotta go to.
no,
third bidder.
legally, because it's under 10 grand.
Yes,
It's under 10 grand, it's sound business practice, all you gotta do legally. If
Three
it's
phone
over 10 grand, if it's over 10, between 10 and 50,000 bucks, you gotta do what's called, a solicitation.
yeah, I know, I just did one for
Right.
something that's coming in.
Yeah,
Something that's coming in, believe it or not, it's 12
but
grand.
Brazza, the fact that we've got Brazza, like you said, you've already got the one quote from Hydrotech.
You gotta go from
Brazza,
You gotta have
they have to apply it a day.
it'd be nice if there was, another town we could work with that would.
Well, let's go to quote for all of them then.
You know, well, I don't,
Well, here's
we
the
don't have a
thing.
definitive list and I
You
don't
want me
have
to
the
call
resources to make a list.
Well,
You know, Upton was willing to do, and we could pay Upton or do some sort of agreement, if they could help us
Well,
out.
I also look at it this
Like
way.
Brazza too, I mean, Bates isn't bad because it's not 140. If it's
Look,
not,
it's his prime schedule, but sometime, if you think it's 2 to 3 hours, sometime they're gonna have a drizzling day where they can't pay or can't dig
Well,
something
I can
up.
reach out to him again and see.
He'll go
whatever.
up and do it.
Here's the thing, Kev, you take it out, it might not be, you might have to just replace a rod, because a little conic pin holds a rod, maybe that's broke.
Yeah, most likely, I think that's the problem.
Right, so you take it out, you put a conic pin in the rod, the thing works, and then
That's all, yeah.
That's the hole, it's
It- it-
done.
Since I know how that company works, if Paul gets the business, he's paid by commission on anything he brings in. If the company doesn't respond, I'll drive to his house at night and say, you paid
well,
for it.
it's an easy fix. And the
How
fact
do you
that
think
they're
I
worried about
I don't
it,
think I got him to give the bill on the leak when we didn't get it for 3 months.
I know we get stabbing for us.
Well, see what he said, I mean, and I do think at some point later down the road, we should maybe invite John to a meeting in the winter when things are, and have, and find out, in the next 3 to 5 years, what his thoughts
You
are.
know, I'll call up in tomorrow and see,
Yeah, I'd be curious if they were willing to do this.
especially if.
Because these things come up from time to time.
Yeah, cross charges between towns are hard.
When you do like they can just invoice us, whatever, if it's reasonable.
Me too, because it'd just be that backlog right now.
Yeah,
That's not
but
fair.
cross charges between municipalities without an intermunicipal agreement are very difficult. I've just been exploring them with another town.
Hey, how about Oakdale, just a shoot?
Yeah, well, they do have I hate to tell it to them, I think they have a new vac truck.
No,
Okay.
no,
I wish we could get one in Mendon.
I'll be very serious, I don't wanna give a dime for outside
I
work.
don't know that.
We're paying the highest rate
We
for
are.
water. We've had to jack our fees up every year when they jack up theirs. I'm not being nasty, they're getting enough money out of us, they're making a
I agree.
profit on us. I would rather give it to a local vendor if they come in as the low
There
bidder.
are other municipalities that.
And if you just say to Brazza, from July 1st to when you can do it, as long as he gives us a day's notice to notify these folks, if he's the low bid, just do that one, fix it. And then we have a price for a replacement from a low bidder that we can take into account if Dudley can't and the highway department can't do it in the future. At least we know what it costs for. Yes, no?
Yeah. Hey, we got a friend who's DPW director over in Bellingham too. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've talked to him a couple times.
But it's hard,
So,
again.
I just.
The politics of when one town finds out that they're helping another, what you usually hear is, why aren't you fixing, why are we spending our dollars in another town?
Well, yeah, that's easily dismissed out because we would pay them for the service, but.
There's a difference between mutual aid and the fire department or police department that's codified in state agreements.
They go across to that.
Well, we get through reports. If you didn't get a response, I'll go to Paul's house again.
Yeah.
I know where he eats every Saturday, I'll go there.
But I'm with you 100%. That should be fixed.
Well, yeah. I mean-
Yeah, and I've used a different,
I'll tell you right now, you're not gonna have a problem. How old is the house?
57.
Oh, so it's complicated
It's old.
and
It's 3/4 inch copper, it's the original connection in the system.
it should be fixed, but it's not gonna, there's not, no.
yeah, but if we left it hanging like that for a couple of years, we have an obligation to fix it.
I mean, it's not an issue till it's an issue.
Yeah, and right now, it's good weather too, you don't wanna wait till the middle of January and also.
I also looked at it this way, we only have 150 something customers.
Yeah.
We're small enough that we can solve a problem. And if it's been hanging, I know we had COVID, I know we had all this, but if this is easily remedied and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, let's just fix it.
Yeah.
That's my viewpoint.
I agree,
And if we have 7 or 8 that need fixing, we try to find out a cost for those,
Yeah.
but this is hanging for 6 years.
I'm with it, all right.
You're also,
We don't
you're
need to
also
make a
talking
motion
about,
like that. Dan's gonna invest.
No, yeah, pricing, I just more was, I
You're
guess
also-
my perspective is what you covered, is more
Yeah.
guidance on how we want to handle these, are we, so we're
And-
responsible for fixing them.
Yeah.
My main concern
The
is
town is responsible,
budget wise,
the town is responsible from the water main to the curb stop. In most public water supplies.
yes, but
And then after the
we
curb
went
stop.
into the house. It's our obligation to unfix
Well,
what,
the only, our only obligation inside the house is the valve before the meter
yes.
and the meter itself.
But I know I'll get in
Everything
trouble
else
for
is on the
saying
property
this.
owner.
We're talking about a family that's lived in the town for several generations. And Benny Leone was a longtime town official in this town.
Yeah.
On the water board, they have a road named after him in this town. And I'm sorry, an old Mendon that counted for something. It may not count in modern Mendon, but I'm old school.
Yeah.
And that means something to me. The man devoted a lot of time to this town. The least we can do is try to fix it.
No, I'm with you 100%.
All right, so the direction of the board, we all agree?
Yeah,
The direction is get some quotes, and after the July 1st start of the fiscal year, if it's not, tens of thousands,
yeah, well, we'll see where we're at,
yeah,
the last time I looked at this, we were potentially closing at a loss.
okay.
Now we've got our billing coming in, and I think we're in the positive side,
But
about
it's
5,000,
also,
so
it's
we're
also,
in
a
good
new-
shape.
I would
it's
not
a-
use, I would not use hydrotech.
it's a new fiscal year, that is a quote already, but you got
The reason, the last time we did it,
Okay.
Hydrotech got brought in
He's a
under an
quote.
insurance claim
Yeah,
to fix a hydrant. And then while they were in town, they were able to do a few things for us.
But it was
He was
fine.
able to do the whole day, so he was here, so he was able to knock out a few projects.
Yeah.
Yeah. So technically you have a bid from them because you know what it costs them to come here.
So we'll see what Brazza has to say.
We'll see what Brazza has to say,
no, you're right, you get a quote, that's good.
and we need a third quote after, I'll actually text Paul when I get home tonight and say, we need a quote on this.
Yeah.
Dan's gonna call you, hint.
I threw them out of Sudbury, because we didn't use it, we were using all private hydrant and stuff like that, and he was gouging everybody. They told him you never do business in Star again.
Well, and see, again, it's, not modern rules, but I'm old school.
Yeah.
You got a guy who moved his business from Milford to here. He's responded extraordinarily quickly on 4 water leaks.
Yeah,
It's not an arm and a leg, let's give him a chance to bid on
and
it.
he's reasonable, he's been,
And he's a block away.
no,
I mean, you know where his building is.
he's
Yeah,
our,
I know, he could walk to my house.
he's our guy, yeah. Yeah, he's our guy, and he does good work. Very reputable.
Yeah, and I'm
I
not
don't
saying that.
personally know, but I just know
Yeah.
the work he's done,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Well, I also have seen the work they've done around.
Yeah.
My issue is, I probably shouldn't vote on it because I know they don't,
Right, yeah.
you
But we're
know,
not picking up vote right now anyways, it's just a recommendation.
his sister used to be our assistant building, or zoning enforcement here.
Yeah, yeah.
So they know the town. Anyway, we're dispense with that one. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, just,
So our goal is,
Have it
It's your own
fixed.
issue. Yeah, yeah.
our goal
Yeah,
is,
I just,
we'll come back to you after we get the bids. And hopefully we can give you a day's notice before they come.
Okay,
I don't want
That's
them
fine.
showing up without you knowing.
Yeah,
That's usually
we'll
what
have
it's
to
saying.
be over there, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the middle of the driveway.
Well, you don't have to be there, because all the
No,
work.
just,
all the
But we're
work's
gonna
gonna-
let
Yeah,
them
it's
know
not-
before they
no,
come.
no.
No, you have to be there, because we're gonna run the,
It's smack in the middle of the driveway. It's gonna-
Oh,
it's gonna be-
oh, so you're doing.
Oh, it is?
Well, it's like it was like a corner, I remember it was like.
Yeah, but he could flow and fill it
It was
too. I
getting
mean,
everywhere.
they're equipped to do all that. And that's part of the deal. Hydrotech, I don't think repays.
He would,
Yeah, I mean,
he was something.
For a price.
Somebody else, yeah.
He would,
So
right?
you get somebody
Yeah, well,
else.
we
You mark up their price another 30% or
Yeah,
something
but
like
who's
that.
gonna come out to fix a 10x10 hole,
It's,
or
Yeah,
10x20
enough.
hole?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Right.
No, you know, they're all business, this is prime season.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you got a guy who can dig it up, fix it and pave it,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I remember correctly, it's like, right there.
That's probably on
Okay.
no, you just stick to the rest of the meeting.
Oh, right, here's the
I just wanted to
I
make up the
appreciate it,
agenda, because
thank
you're sitting.
So-
Maybe that's it.
So you don't have to dig up the driveway. You can
No,
dig right-
I wish I could remember now. I remember going out there.
Okay.
It's like right, it's right
Because you
here.
won't have to get into the paving. Yeah, okay.
I think it's on the edge of the driveway.
Yeah.
I
so-
remember.
Well, more than, you know, if you don't have to pay,
Yeah, we don't wanna get into
Well,
the
the water
paving.
gathers.
if you don't have to pay, you know, the easier it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be better.
You know,
You don't have to pay, you know.
Yeah.
We don't wanna do that.
And I'll just-
I mean, it's-
You don't want
I
that.
just tell you, my own feeling, if this was a brand new issue and we roll it in with all the other ones, I probably wouldn't care as much. But if you've been hanging for 6 years on getting some resolution, let's get it fixed.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, they'll dig a hole to the left side of it, away from the driveway. You just
The one in an
kinda
angle.
stick it in. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably just gonna do this little, damn, to
He
that
said
as
they
possible, yeah.
straight down next to the curb stop.
Just
These are
remember,
handwritten.
don't forget, when Brazza had to connect for their own building, the guy went sideways, I mean, he did it perfectly.
Well, that's what they do. That's what they know how to do.
Yeah.
I would
Okay,
say.
I'll really get in trouble for saying this is loud, but they're old school Puerto Rican,
Yeah,
they know what they're doing. And he won't mind me saying that.
yeah.
Okay, they're old school Portuguese, they know how to do stonework, they know how to do paving.
Right.
So, you know, let's get it fixed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, now we'll go back to the other items of the agenda. We had,
We're gonna go, yeah, thank you so much, thank you. So I'll wait till just.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Probably be after
We get the pricing.
July sometime, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
if worst comes to worst, come knock on my door, you know where I live, right across from, the old acupuncture building.
Oh, across from
The White House.
Sandra, the White House?
Yeah.
Wasn't that parents?
Black hole.
Parents'
Very
house.
fancy.
Yeah. All right, no, I don't blame
There's a little paved parking lot on the front lawn, if the blue Subaru is there, I'll
you.
home.
Okay, you're home. All
Okay.
right, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Believe it or not, other people on the water system have come by.
Yeah, well, they would knock on my dad's house all the time.
I'm
too, and
used to
say, you need to come shut my water off.
Yeah, I'm used to it. All right, we're going back.
Thank you.
All right.
We're going back to old business, continued discussion updates on the water study, is there any news?
No news on the water study. I did briefly talk to Dylan about, she wanted to meet about checking in, find out what the next steps are. I know they are applying for another round of grant funding.
I know the Healy administration is handing out as much money as they have.
I think, I'll check in and find out where we're at and what's new. I mean, I have not heard much from any from the current,
Okay.
um,
I had a crazy idea. Did I just say that?
Is Jack still here?
oh yeah, so Jack has officially retired. I think he's still, I thought I heard him in Uxbridge, so now it's Dylan Lindholm, who's our new full-time town planner.
So, okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you
Yeah.
off, just that we're still talking about this.
Okay.
And Jeremy.
Okay, so they're able to keep the ball rolling.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry,
just,
Jeff.
you know, I'm driving somewhere one day and my mind goes, you know, you drive,
Yeah,
with the
roll
back
off
of your
the-
brain.
Right,
you know, we really drive where our back of our brain is driving us while we're thinking of other things. Like when you go to work every day, your mind doesn't look at the, anyway.
yeah.
I got one of those thoughts one day. You know, we're trying to get this study in Wells to a point where at some point we're gonna stop with the cost of doing it, and the town may don't know. If that happens, and we have a potable water supply, one of my ideas was offering it to a neighboring town as additional supply, using that revenue to lower our bills. Only if we don't build out a system.
The only drawback, well, it's not, it's a decent idea, but you gotta build infrastructure.
Yes, you do.
And so you're gonna let another town put a water main, take out water out. Then you have to be approved at town meeting, not even tell them.
Yes,
Town
but,
meeting could be like, "Frick, crap."
yes, but there's a neighboring town that we're connected to right now, that always complains that we're taking their water supply.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be an interesting thing to offer them water back
right,
if we had? It's just a long-range crazy thought. You know, I come from the school where no idea is a crazy idea. If we ever get to the point where we're not gonna build out a system, which is a huge cost, but we have potable water, it's worth pursuing. As a way of lowering bills.
so it's not a high yielding well, but it's enough to meet the daily demand here, and a peak demand too.
I also looked at it this way, if the town doesn't wanna build out a system, but somebody wants to put a certain size business on 140, buys up some houses, there's one vacant lot, decides to do it, it's not that far away for that company to pay to run the water gap.
That's it.
Okay, and once we get water in the 140 district, we can expand the 140 district.
Right.
But it's just long-range thinking, you know, this is probably gonna be my last term on the board,
You too? Okay.
3 years from now.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, sorry, just go.
I'm gonna be 76 when that term is up.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how long I wanna do this.
Okay.
I mean, Alan loves it, but at some point, I don't wanna drop dead in this job,
Right.
okay? But it's a long-range idea to think of, we got all this grant money. And all I'm saying, we got all this grant money that did, you know, miles beyond what we could do as volunteers. If we ever get to the point where we have that, and we have to go to town meeting for millions of dollars to build out a system, and town meeting says no,
No, I do not.
okay, we've got a resource that we can do something with.
Yeah.
And it's very close to our 140 system.
Yeah.
Let's at least in the back of our heads, and maybe 10 years from now, but let's think of what can we do at that point if the town says no. And I look at it as, it's gotta be a way to use it. That's just all I wanted to reference.
Yeah, it's capital.
And it may never go anywhere, but it's, you know, it's capital,
Yeah.
you know,
It's only
supposedly.
gonna go up in value too, it's not like.
But I mean, supposedly, this grant is gonna take us to the point where we might have an approved, DEP-approved system that we haven't built out. Okay, the land is all protected almost. What do you do with it if the town says we don't wanna build out a water system? Because don't forget, what is $300 and something a foot right now to put in a main, maybe by then might be $600 a foot, okay? And I know all the people with wells might say, why the hell are we paying for this? Over a 20-year betterment fee, which is the only way to pay for it if you don't have
Yeah, either, you gotta keep looking for a grant fund, but this climate, boy, you know.
100 million, come on,
You're not gonna get it. It's not, especially now.
no. So all I wanna do is, you know, I raised the issue, hopefully it'll go in the minutes stand, and we don't have to explore it again in the future. But if we ever get to that point, that's an idea
Yeah. No, I think it's a good idea. But,
for the future.
yeah, long term,
It's sort of like a decision tree.
yeah.
You know, you go down the decision tree, you get to a certain point and just go, next step is town agrees to build a water system, yes, no. So if yes.
Yeah.
Massive debt. If no, what do we do with it?
Right, yeah, because this. If you decide to, what's it gonna cost? It's like you say, a multi-million-dollar bond. A water tank, you're probably talking, size of the tank that you need, you don't need a big tank, but.
But how
you're
much
probably
would it
talking
cost?
$2.5, $3 million just for a water tank.
But how much would it cost to get it into the 140 system?
Yeah, you gotta run a water, well, yeah, you gotta run a water main all the way from where the well's gonna be, but you gotta have a tank too. Because that's where your pressure comes from, elevation, so you push it all up to a tank, and then you gotta run a water main down to the 140 area too. Yes,
But
how many
hypothetically,
miles of pipe? I bet you're talking at least 3 miles of pipe.
okay,
So
not necessarily,
5280,
okay,
so
just
15,000 feet.
hypothetically. Suppose you had, you know, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years from now. The regime has changed in Washington, grants are available, this is going on, and somebody wants to build, you know, we're getting maybe not counting personal property, we'll probably get 300 grand from that new warehouse.
Yeah.
Suppose somebody wants to build something bigger than that closer to Bellingham. Buys up a couple of properties, comes in and do that. And they're willing to pay a percentage of bringing it down.
Yeah, there you go.
And if you say, okay, it's gonna cost the town, you said 3 miles of pipe. It'll cost the town 20 million to bring it there, but that building is gonna pay $500,000 a year in taxes.
Yeah.
Okay? My move is sign a pilot agreement with them and dedicate the money to paying off that note.
Yeah,
Is when you borrow money with a dedicated revenue source against it, it's a lot easier than saying it's coming out of the general fund. So I'm saying it's not out of the realm of possibility, and again, it's years from now. Put it in the back burner. But at some point, we're gonna get a final study from the consultants that says, here's the cost of going here, here's recommendations to pay for it. The town says, no, what are we gonna do with the water? We've developed a resource. It's dumb not to use it to make money for the town or to lower our costs
right.
of the people on the Cape system, who, as you know, are paying through the nose.
Crazy.
I mean, my last quarter, actually, I have one person moving out on Labor Day. I can't wait to see how the quarterly bill drops when my son moves to Pittsburgh to be with his fiance. I can't, because there's 3 people now, we're gonna go down to 2, and then the following spring, we go down to just base. You know,
What's your quarterly bill?
with all the charges, it's about between 230 and 250. He can give me that number.
You're getting over $1,000, so close to $1,000 a year. Wow.
Well, $50 a quarter going to the Hopedale to pay off the Hopedale debt. $12.50 a quarter for the thing we inputted here. So right away, that's $62.50 of every quarter is not for water.
Yeah. Oh.
So if you knock that off, I'd be in the 150 range.
Yeah.
But I mean, I expect that bill to go down by at least half. Anyway, let's go to the next item.
Okay.
Updates on Whitten Road and Sonic Free Cape.
And just with the other thing with the water study, I'm just thinking of too, I don't believe there's been any progress on the properties that had come up in the context.
No, but
I do know Jeremy said the town would commit to doing another
well, I
on
know
the
that.
gentleman's property, and I don't know the status of
I
this.
know that the gentleman who we're negotiating with, the town did an appraisal. He took the appraisal, went into the assessor. I'll put my Board of Assessors hat on and said, well, you're over assessing my property.
Right.
The appraisal said it should be this. So she's dealing with that issue. But my argument is, people don't understand the difference between a single fee appraisal and mass appraisal in the town. But it's an issue, and he thinks the single fee appraisal is too low, but he wants the assessment part now. So they'll sort that out eventually, but aren't we also requiring some of the Denton property?
So that is all, the Denton property is all set. I believe they either signed or discussed the purchase sale
Which is,
last night.
it's just part of that area.
But we specifically needed the 32 Thayer Road property and then another sliver of another property
Well, you know what?
for the zone 1.
Well,
I just figured there's not
well,
much.
here's what I say, the former assessor, Gene Berthold, had a great relationship with the gentleman.
Hmm.
Ask her to come back and negotiate with him.
Yeah, well, I think that
She'll come on our, she won't even charge the town.
the talk was to maybe if we can do another appraisal that perhaps comes up with a value that everybody thinks is more fair for what it's worth and.
I could give Jeremy, a name of an appraiser who's out of Bellingham, who worked for me for 3 weeks to try, who's used to
I'll find
land
out
taking.
from Dylan what's going on. I do know there was also some potential discussion if this person were open to more land. I think there's conservation stuff, because
Yeah.
all turtle habitat out there. So I think I know Ann was looking into that.
And there are state grants.
Like Peter, part of the Denton property, we got money from the state because they wanted to see that land preserved as well. I think it was $500,000.
Yeah, but there is state
Next door,
money,
it's the same land.
there is ongoing state money right
Yeah.
now for preservation of things like habitats. Believe it or not, Holliston just got $4,000 from the state to put up, you ready? Turtle crossing signs on 4 roads,
But,
because people are driving over and killing.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
You know, it's
You
just,
see that in a lot of towns.
there's culverts
Oh,
under the
yes.
road.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a town full of people who value turtles not getting mushed.
Yeah.
I'll avoid them,
Oh, sure.
but, we have on Hartford Avenue West, we have beavers crossing there all the time. You always find dead beavers out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, so look at that.
That's that.
Just one more thing on it, Greg. So DEP used to have, let's see, so, they had grant money, for purchase of land, specific to zone one, with purchase of land.
I think the issue in this situation, I don't know if we want to get into it in a public meeting, it's not
What's it worth?
that the money's not there, it's that the owner wants more money than so we legally cannot pay over the appraised value, and the owner thinks it's worth more than the appraised value.
Well,
Which it may or may not be,
he could get his own appraisal.
well, right.
I don't know if he wants to spend the money. He could commission his own appraisal and match it up against what the town got. The town also can get a second or third appraisal and weigh them all, like different
Is the
people.
town, are we looking at eminent domain and just give them market value?
Even with eminent domain, it's market value.
So that was, I don't think it's been seriously discussed, I think everyone feels that that would be a very aggressive step, and quite honestly, I think it would fail town meeting.
It would,
I don't think, people don't like that.
but you can, the owner has a right
For
to
the
get
public good though.
his own appraisal.
Yeah.
The town also has the right, some towns do 2 or 3 appraisals and pick the middle.
Yeah.
There are also systems called automated value
We're only
systems.
looking for a piece of his land though.
I think the one we want to hold, it's, I mean, again, it's clearly landlocked, unbuildable wet parcel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but there are
that's
numerous
value
ways
owner.
for him and the town to act. It's out of our hands.
Right.
If push comes to shove and somebody wants to talk to the board of assessors about it,
Right.
I'm the chairman, I would put on my hat and say, you could do this, this, and this, and he has the right to get his own appraisal.
Yeah.
I will tell you, under Massachusetts law, the burden is on the land or property owner to justify what they want. So if you come in, for instance, if you come in asking for a property tax abatement on your house, and let's just say the town has your house and land valued at $500,000, it's probably worth.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Okay, 500, and you believe it's 400, you have to prove the town is wrong. The town doesn't have to prove anything. If you go to the appellate, if the town says, no, we're denying your abatement, and you take it to the next step as the appellate tax board, it's up to you to prove the town wrong, not the town. Town could say, we rest our case,
Right, yeah.
okay? If the appellate tax board turns you down and you go to Superior Court, you have to prove the
Yes,
case.
and everything's on your dime.
It's Massachusetts state law.
Yeah.
Favors the
It is.
official, yeah.
Yeah.
I happen to disagree with that as an assessor. I disagree with the fact you only have a month statutorily to file. It should be 2 or 3 months in my, but that's been, anyway,
Right, yeah.
let's go on to the next one. Updates on Whitney Road and 23K.
Yep, so the project is progressing,
I check it once a week, they're getting to the point of almost being done.
they've installed their fire pump system, they have filled or are filling the tank.
They are starting to get to do landscaping.
We haven't been down that way much, I've been talking to them, I did, in terms of the easement. So
Yeah.
first of all, I spoke with the building commissioner and I asked him to please check with us before he issues a certificate of occupancy for the property, which he said absolutely. And I put a reminder step in viewpoint.
Okay, has the town council ever
So
reviewed
here's-
this document?
Here's the deal, there were so many changes and in the time it took for that discussion, they did the work.
Yes,
So initially, town council wanted us to record the amendment and then go back and record an abandonment of the old easement once the work was done.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Since that, the work is done, we don't need to do 37 things, we can just do it in one document.
correct.
I wasn't getting anywhere, what I ended up doing is sending it back to Blue Water and said, listen, can you take another crack at this, redraft this as one document? She wants everything together, all the appendices, what do you call it?
Appendices, yeah.
Yeah.
Exhibits all together, because she didn't like that it was a separate page. Because I think with our council, we need to just send her a pseudo final document and say
Right.
yes or no. She's not writing it for us.
But and also at some point, this is gonna hold up the occupancy permit
Correct.
for
So that-
major tax addition to the
Well, so
town.
I've kicked it to them though, to send back us a draft to approve, and that's what we're now waiting.
Right, but I think at some point to get her to move off the dime and approve it is, we need this approved within the next 3 weeks. Because they can't open the building and we can't tax it till it's open, so get it done.
Right, but at this point, we're now waiting on Blue Water.
Okay.
And I'll follow up, because he didn't respond to me.
And 23 Cape is, I'm sorry, is that the Tenio?
No, 23 Cape is the whole, that's the property.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I have,
We know where that is?
um,
Okay, now Alan, to your question, I believe it's Blue Wave is paying for the work.
yes, yeah.
They're expanding,
Picture.
they're setting back where Dick Skinner's house used to be corner, where our hydrant is dug up, and the corner, they're also slightly enlarging the corner where Poppy Cork is. I noticed that mistake today. So they've dug up around the hydrant, they've removed the directional sign. The poles were put in when they bring the electricity to the warehouse and to the new gas station, which is about to open because they finally stocked it. And I noticed the price sign is actually set correctly, instead of saying $9 a gallon, it's got a $2.89 today. But if you go, I've actually stopped and gone on the property. The stakes are in for where the corner's gonna be in. They're basically creating a lane coming from the site where an 18-wheeler can round that corner without hitting anything. Given the existing lane that's there, it's gonna be wider. And
We had to move our hydrant, which they've done.
they did move it,
Yeah, they moved it back. So this was, I don't know who I mentioned this to, there was a
and they
whole.
found the stop.
So if you remember Dick Skinner complained about this hydrant because it was all rusted and
Yes.
all that, so when Hydrotech fixed it, or maybe Hopedale fixed it, I think it was Hydrotech,
Okay.
they couldn't find a valve. Nobody could find the valve,
Blue
so
Wave, Blue Wave.
Blue Water went out, same
Blue
deal, I
Water,
had a whole conversation with them about what do we
Okay.
do? They were considering doing it like 3 AM system shutdown to do this hydrant. Then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, he sent me a text, I guess it was like right tight to the curb, but I think there was like silt that was just, like you had to
Well,
really chip it off. There was like-
the
that
hydrant,
works.
Oh, it was showing.
the
It was
hydrant,
actually, it was, yeah, the dirt.
the hydrant where it is now is about a foot away from the curb, as it will be moved.
Right.
So it's close to where the curb is gonna go, it's like within a foot of that new location. I asked for it to be put on the agenda because I just wanted to make sure, since it's already been moved, I just wanted to make sure that if they're shutting the system down, the people on the system were notified.
Under question,
But
but
it's
it's not like they
already been
don't do
done?
that.
Fine.
Yeah, so it turns out, I thought I took a picture.
But here's the
If you
thing,
go back there now, I painted it, but here, Kevin, if you look, it's right, oh, there's all this crap, it's right where my cursor is.
Yeah.
So the hydrant is there, see how there's all this like
I see it,
like
yeah,
crap?
yeah, it's all
Schmutz.
So I think once they like
To use a
chisel that
word,
off,
schmutz,
so.
the smudge thing,
it was right there, it worked,
good German word.
so our original 1940s
Okay,
comes through again.
so they've already moved it,
So it's all set,
because I noticed today it is now back.
yes. They-
So what I did when I
It's
first
it's
saw
gonna be on the backside of the sidewalk once they.
Yeah,
Now-
we should-
now-
this is what they're doing,
Blue, whatever their name is, they're actually paying for the curbing
they're doing everything.
and the traffic lights.
So the granite,
This-
curve, they're probably gonna use the same stuff, that's good stuff.
You
They
see
are,
my
but just
house
moving it
is-
back.
Yeah, yeah,
You can
That's
see
the
the, you can see the stakes for the new rounding, and they're moving it back that way.
yeah,
And they're moving it to Poppin Court, maybe only a foot or two, but this is a serious rounding.
It's right here, that's the new hydrant. So
Yeah.
they're just, and that's the old, what's going away. The
so
old
it's gonna be
hydrant,
right on the back edge of the sidewalk.
the old hydrant, I think is
Yeah.
maybe there.
If you live on 140, you'll notice on both sides of 140, at Bay Street in Mendon, and down near that little shopping plaza on the left in Hopedale, there are highway construction, slow down, da-da-da-da. It's Blue, whatever their name is, doing all that work.
Yeah.
So at some point, they're gonna, close the lane off when they move the curb and all that stuff and do it.
Yeah,
But they're doing it at their cost.
And they are,
And the traffic lights are being moved on the Poppin Court side and the Dick Skinner
yeah,
house lot side.
And the high voltage is being removed all the place lately.
It's already, but the poles are already done and moved. The wires, the National Grid has put in the electricity from the warehouse all the way down around that corner. They also had to electrify the gas station, which is why it didn't open for half a
that took
year.
him, that was awful. That took like a year.
Well, they were waiting for the warehouse.
He needed a transformer. So he was, grid is way backed up. The same thing happened to somebody who
Was it
rented.
3 phase in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was somebody who meant it was building a house, same thing, it took him 6 months for grid to come put poles in and get it serviced to the house.
Remember when,
They're so delayed.
remember when the British National Grid bought Mass Electric, they laid off half the workers.
Yeah.
To save money.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Unitil, which got fined up north. They laid, big money bought them. They laid off all the workers saying, we only need them in an emergency.
Yeah.
And now the area is growing, they don't have the staff to put in everything.
Oh, that's awful. Wow.
I mean, just to get a house tied in.
Yeah, 6 months. Holy shit.
Well, in Holliston, we have Instar.
Yeah.
It's 4 months. I talked to one of the builders. It's a minimum of 4 months to get a house connected.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So when they pour the
It's
foundation, the guy told me, when they pour the foundation, they now put the order in to connect even though the house is built.
Yeah,
Because they catch up, by the time they have the house built, they're ready to come in.
yeah.
And in gas is slower.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so that's what's going on in that
It doesn't
corner.
matter if you're municipality or what.
Yeah, well, even
Everybody gets.
this
treated the
work, grid was great to us for the campus. Our issue here was Verizon, to pull the poles down. That took forever.
Yeah, don't forget, just to move wires, you need to talk to everybody and they have to do it in phases. So if you don't look at the new poles on that corner, they still have the old poles
Oh,
nearby.
it's so grid does new poles, but then Verizon owns the poles and then Verizon has to take them down.
And then,
So grid moves their stuff and then Verizon,
and then
it's so
Verizon,
complicated.
and then because of the layer, then Verizon Fios has to come
Yeah.
back and move the cable.
My lesson from this project is never again. Let it,
Yeah,
general,
but-
I'm not, that was awful.
Yeah.
I want not to do that ever again.
But I would point out, this is, rounding off 2 of those corners and moving everything and moving the lights, this is a big sum that the Blue, whatever the name is paying.
Cool, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep on to say Blue Wave, which is the solar,
Yeah.
Blue Water.
They're wide, doing something in Witten Road, but I think they're just opening up the approach.
They're opening up the approach.
But they're not, nothing's major changing.
That is gonna be huge though, because the traffic does get jammed.
Well, you can't, that intersection is horrible, you can't turn.
Well, actually, they're fixing what should have been
The
done
state should.
when the state expanded that.
Yeah.
It's still messed up. If you're coming up Hartford Avenue from Bellingham towards Mendon, and you wanna turn left, which is what I do every day,
Yeah.
you are actually in a lane with oncoming traffic coming down Hartford Avenue towards Bellingham, most of which, if they wanna turn, you're literally sitting like this, you're waiting for the lane next to you,
Yeah.
coming at you to clear out, and basically that light allows maybe 2 cars to turn.
Yeah, right.
And everybody coming from 140 in Hopedale, 18-wheelers coming out of the Hopedale Industrial Park,
Yeah.
and Amazon before they moved out of Milford in the old glass plant. If you looked at that existing utility pole, they had to go up the curb, even with the curb stop set back from that lane, in the lane coming up from Bellingham, they had to round the corner up on the curb, and there's giant notch in that pole where every truck hit it.
Oh, my God.
They literally cut a notch out of it.
Yeah. Wow.
You could tell 18-wheelers are this high,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah, they gave it a whack.
So, I'm gonna goof it up again, Blue Water
Who are,
is paying for all that. They're paying a substantial sum to make it easier for traffic going in and out of the building. I just wanna go on record, we're not used to that in Mendon, but that's what they did.
This was planning work there.
And our planners, now that we had an official planner,
Yeah.
yeah, this company's been great to work with. They've,
Yeah.
they have,
Yeah.
unless, what did they say this?
on more than one occasion, they have cleared out valves and helped us when those main things all the shutdowns had to happen.
They're what I would call a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And they were willing to do the mitigation that needs to be done, which now that we have a planner, he
Yeah,
worked with
conservation too.
and conservation to make it work.
They're gonna get stuck fixing the mess that property has been forever, and
And they
you
are.
know, they're
Yeah.
gonna clean up all the
Anyway.
stormwater.
Anyway.
Next time is where are we on the Plains Road Talbot Farm Drive meter pit?
So, the deal here, this has been a mess. Apparently, the Hopedale Planning Board revised the order of condition, the site plan, whatever, for
Take
the
a run of
project
the traffic
Hopedale.
light
And they removed the requirement to
for the
do
traffic
the
light.
water main extension.
And the water main extension.
So the contractor has stated that they have no intention of doing.
So now what do we do?
We've been emailing, the contractor is like working with Jeremy and John to schedule the start date for that work. There was a meeting with them back in February, and we asked them to give us a price to just cross the road with the water main and put a new hydrant on the Hopedale side, right there.
But they're not extending it now.
Because that way,
We could put a meter pit there.
we could extend in the future without opening up that brand new intersection. Or in an emergency, we could tie into Hopedale's closest hydrant with that temporary hose, and you're not running a hose across the
Well,
road.
what I understood happened is because Mendon
Right,
wanted some leverage, they used a traffic light permit to get the leverage. And so Hopedale wanted to make the big developer of the giant warehouse, 800,000 square feet of warehouse, happy. The planning board came back and said, no traffic light. So now
they are putting a traffic light up.
they are,
Well, I believe what Hopedale did is they basically said, they amended it to say that Mendon had 3 years to do something, and after that, and Hopedale, the developer had to post a bond, and after that, if Mendon didn't decide, then the developer was free and clear
for the traffic
for
light.
the traffic light. But they are doing the light and
They are doing the light,
the lane work, kind of the.
but they're not going to extend the water.
They're not doing the water main, it's not part of their scope. I don't wanna,
So where does the water main end now?
so the water main ends where it always has, at the intersection of Hartford Ave East.
So we would have to pay it across the street.
So the previous planner had negotiated with another private party and who was willing to pay for that small extension to just cross the road and do that
Underneath,
tie.
yeah.
That may still be on the table, I don't know, but we need this developer or contractor to give us a price on it. I
Okay,
mean, they're already gonna be there, they're already gonna have everything ripped up.
and we have the meter already waiting to go in a new
Because
meter.
the other issue, to take a bigger step back, we need to replace the master meter, either where it lies or in this new location. DEP keeps bringing it up.
The one on 140.
So if we have to spend the
But we
money to
were
do it.
waiting,
But we're waiting because,
But we were waiting
Right.
for this construction to happen, we have the meter to drop it in, and DEP knew that was happening, but now it's not happening.
I mean, we've been focusing on this location at Hopedale's request, and so now that seems to be off the table.
Okay. What is it going to cost us to do that extension?
I have no
We have
idea.
to do it.
I have not.
Okay, so the warehouse developer was not gonna pay for that extension?
So I'm hesitant because I don't wanna, things are still closed door discussions. I
Okay,
think
we're in a public meeting,
the Hopedale developer
Yeah.
originally was going to be required to pay to run the water main all the way from where it ends in Hopedale, all the way to tie into Mendon and install the new meter pit.
and
They
then,
were saying, hand
and
in
the
the
planning board took that.
Hopedale planning board removed that requirement,
Okay,
so. I
so
think,
what do we do next?
I think we should maybe get a quote to replace the meter where it lies in the Cape Road meter pit, which is feasible, it's just a pain in the butt, it's not impossible.
No, and we get quotes for that. I don't like the
I thought
fact,
the media had will work there.
It'll work anywhere.
it'll work, the
The
problem
problem
is,
with Cape Road is they were gonna have to do surgery to get the other meter out, because it's like a
right,
tiny little coffin.
the problem is,
It's
it's
not big.
accessing that meter pit is so dangerous due to the turning radius. If the last time Hopedale opened it, I happened to be there, they blocked the intersection, they blocked people coming apart from Bellingham from turning right while they did it. They had a police car literally route the traffic up Hartford Avenue.
Yeah, you had, it's the only way to do it.
Here, let me find out what we did.
And they blocked traffic coming straight up 140 from Mendon into Hopedale,
Yeah,
and they have 2 police cars surrounding the truck.
yeah.
Because it's the worst intersection, it's too close to the intersection.
Yeah, well, it's full location.
Well, the alternative is, can we move it backwards on 140?
So here, the meter replacement at Dudley Road, we got quotes, Hydrotech actually was the low bidder.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, their price was $7,300, that was with no public safety issues, we just put some cones up and closed the
And that
lane.
was our responsibility to pay.
Right, we paid that. So my assumption is the Cape Road meter, it's gonna start at probably 10,000 and then probably be another, at least several thousand in public safety
And
costs.
technically,
And we need to work with the state.
that's a state police detail, technically, unless they waive it.
It would be better to have it be a state police detail because
Yes,
Hopedale has 8-hour minimums.
so does state,
Of course, it's probably gonna be an 8-hour project, so it probably doesn't matter.
so does state police. And that's a 2-car.
I already
Yeah,
talked to
you-
the chief before.
I would say you'd be there
They
4 hours with the meter.
can't work.
It's probably like 4 volts per
More.
flange.
Yeah,
Just because of the traffic issue,
Yeah,
it's a massive undertaking. Because you need people redirecting traffic, so, they may put the car with the flashing, the wigwag lights on,
and that's the only feature.
but they're gonna have to have a guy in the road,
Yeah,
a guy on Hartford Avenue and a guy on 140 physically directing traffic around.
yeah.
And they can't start during rush hour, so they probably can't start till after 9 in the morning,
Right.
and they gotta be out of there by 4.
What size meter is it, 6 inch?
8-inch.
And we have it.
We have the meter, we have the technology. I mean, I think
Well, then,
I think starting next year, next fiscal year, we should look at getting pricing there. I will keep pushing. We don't seem to be getting any answers from the Hopedale developer about this intersection, where we've just said, like, just give us a price and we'll pay the bill you're already there to extend the.
well, the
It's 100
building's done.
It's 100 feet to cross the road. And then you pop a hydrant there.
Would it go on the Mendon side?
I think we would have to negotiate with Hopedale. This hydrant would be in Hopedale, but it would be considered a Mendon hydrant. The point is it would get us an emergency connection.
Okay, so if we're driving from 140 towards the center of town, it would be on the right side of the road at the, what is it, Plain Street intersection?
It would be, if you're driving towards the center of town, it'd be on the right side of the road here.
And the meter pit would be there,
Right now, just a hydrant.
hydrant, and then we would put the meter
Because
pit
the
in.
issue, the goal here would
They
be,
wouldn't have a meter there.
the goal here is to cross this
You start
brand
with
new
a temporary
intersection.
connection.
Because once they do all this work, to go back and shut that down and dig all that up again is insane.
Right. Okay,
Tim, years ago, had told us that on Plains Road, something that was easy digging, it's all sand.
yeah, it is,
From where that would end to their last hydrant is probably another 300 feet.
and it's all
It
sand.
could be on the
Mendon
shoulder of the
side.
road.
On the corner of Talbot, we know it's all
Yeah.
sand, because that's where we had the 1 million gallon leak.
So we could always come back and put the meter pit in at a later date and negotiate with Hopedale, and quite honestly, maybe Hopedale, maybe Hopedale will do it.
Okay, can John dig that for us?
It's in Hopedale, so no.
Okay. So
The
either,
impression I'm getting is in the short term, highway cannot do any water work. They're not trained, they're not
Okay.
interested, they're not paid.
but
for it.
Hopedale Water has the equipment.
And I don't know if they have the undertaking. They seem to want this meter pit, so maybe they're willing to work with us, and I think DEP would like to see it. It would get us this emergency connection. It would-
Well, we've had the meter for a couple of years. We've been waiting for this thing to get done, to put it there. So our options are as follows. Replace where it is, which is a nightmare, and that we wanted to move it. Or we find out the cost of moving it to a new location and who does what and who pays for what.
So I guess I will follow up again and see if we can get an answer out of this other company about just crossing the road, because that's the immediate issue, is knock that out, and then we can go from there.
Well,
But you're not
let's,
gonna use a meter there, it's only gonna be a hydrant,
In the short,
a hose.
no, they're two different things, short term, long term. The short term, we need to cross this road, they're doing this in the next 2
I get
months.
it, yeah, long term would be.
Then we can dig up and put a meter pit in there, or not.
they're not crossing Hartford Avenue, they're stopping at the intersection, correct?
Who?
The
They're-
company you said is doing the work.
The intersection road work, they are ripping up that entire 4-way intersection.
Okay, who's doing that?
I don't know the name, I just wanna say it's GBI, hang on.
Okay, it's somebody that the warehouse developer,
The Hopedale
Hopedale,
warehouse developer.
is paying for.
That's part of their project, they're doing that.
So that would be the ideal time to have us
Correct.
do this.
And we have another private party who had previously offered to pay for just that small little crossing of the road.
Okay,
And I don't know if that's still on the table,
well,
but we can find out.
again, we need to find that out.
Damn price,
But the ideal time to do it is when I have the whole thing ripped up.
exactly.
Why she doesn't pay.
But we're still, even if we go across the road while they're ripping it up, it'll be dead-ended until Hopedale extends the Plain Street line, correct?
Well, correct, I think short term, if we could cross the road, especially if it's at no cost to us,
Yes.
that gets some piece of infrastructure in place for the future, it also gets us an emergency connection.
It gets us
If
emergency
something ever hits
connected.
the fan.
If Hopedale, where does Hopedale end now on Plain Street?
It's kind of near the parking lot, of the
ice rink?
ice rink, there's a hydrant up there.
Okay,
It's like
but
300
wouldn't it, wouldn't be Hopedale's obligation to extend it to where we cross the road?
If they, not their obligation, it would be in their town, so then they would be the ones to do it, they could come back and say, you want it, you pay for it, you scope it out, and we'll just rubber stamp it. Or they might say, we really want this thing, we'll send you the bill and we'll do the work. I don't know how much work they're willing to do.
You know, we need to
Yeah.
find
They're
out.
bigger than us.
Yeah.
I would,
they're not gonna pay.
well, at the very least, we need to,
For sure, we can pay for it.
to me, the obvious thing is, while they're digging up the intersection, you said it's in 2 months?
Right, so I just wanted to more update you that I'm trying to
Okay.
get them to give us a quote, and I've been talking to Jeremy's aware of it, John's aware of it.
Well, we need to find call the company directly.
No, they're part of this conversation, they're simply not answering about anything.
Okay, how do we make them answer?
So I think the next step may be to talk to Jeremy about this and find out where we're at here.
Well, how do we make them answer?
Trying to
You talked to
find-
the town manager about this?
Yes, I'm trying to find the most recent discussion.
Yeah, this is you're gonna.
There was an email,
Chain of command.
I mean, to me, it would be, they were already digging it up and making money.
here it is.
Yeah.
You
I'll
amend
make
that
it all
contract
the
and say, it's another
So on May, they said,
2,000 to put this across the
time.
road
Yeah,
to be
it's
built and
eliminated, this
ended.
meter pit over down 140.
in May 27th, they said, they were with an updated schedule.
Yeah.
And then when I talked to John a little bit later, he said that he was talking to them about, because some of this wasn't in there. Because they're trying to coordinate with some paving and Mendon as well, to pave that, because that's the other issue, which is not a water issue.
From Plain Street to Cape Road,
Correct,
It's hardly-
the developer should have been required to do that, but they weren't.
they weren't. And in fact, you start running an 800,000 square feet of warehouse, to me, that's anywhere from, 50 to 100 18-wheelers going each way
Yeah.
a day,
So,
which is gonna destroy, even if we rebuild that road, it's gonna destroy it.
It is, yeah.
And I will tell you, in my 42 years in Mendon, I've seen that section of road repaved close to 6 times. But the amount of traffic just destroys it.
Yeah.
You start putting heavy 18-wheelers on it. I will tell you right now, the redone intersection, if you drive it every day, the part the state redid when they widened the intersection, that's all rutted out from the traffic. I don't know what the underlying road base is, but you make the turn, you're in a rut until the Bellingham line. You come up here, the road is all rutted, and that was just rebuilt
Yeah, yeah.
theoretically.
Wow. Well, there's a lot of pavement there,
Yes.
and so the subsurface might be okay, but, in those really hot, gross days and the big, heavy trucks, you'll rut the
Well,
pavement.
don't forget, Hartford Avenue in Mendon does not have a concrete base, it does not have an 8-inch base.
No.
That was built over a dirt road. There's not a gravel underlay, it's not built to like highway standards.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Or industrial park standards.
Yeah,
So, the proper way to get, not that I've told you what to do,
right.
the proper way of building it is huge amount of money, is to basically take that thing, re-excavate it all the way down,
Yeah, go down a couple of feet, put a
go
good.
down a couple of feet, start
Basic
building,
dense grade gravel in there, yeah.
You put in the
Compact
trap
that's
rock, then you put in the gravel,
Yeah.
then you roll that out, and then you have the sign.
Compact,
It could be like 4 inches of gravel and then 6 inches of pavement,
yeah, yeah,
maintain that thing.
Right.
And while you're at it, put a sidewalk in.
Yes,
I know he's been working on it, I know that's one of the things, I think we chapter 90 money, they're
okay,
trying to get.
So-
But anyway, so that's where we're at with that.
okay, the steps that I understand it are trying to connect with the guy putting in the traffic light and regiving the intersection
Right.
and getting a quote from them. Or if he won't give a quote while it's open, what would it cost us to do it? So it's what would it cost if that guy did it? What would it cost while the road's open if they let us do it, which they may not? And then talking to Hopedale about, okay, we're here now. You want a meter pit there, your main needs to come here. How do we do that?
right, yeah.
Yeah, well, I was waiting to reach out to Tim because we were trying to get an answer from these developers about this.
It's too much, no, it's gonna be a free board.
Oh, yeah,
Well, it's complicated as hell because there's too many moving parts.
his board will, but, yeah, so we'll see.
If this were all amended, it would be, hey, if this were amended requiring the traffic lights,
Yeah.
it would be, we'll add this to the contract
yeah.
while you're doing it, or that's part of the contract.
Yeah, no disrespect to you, Dan, but it's actually, this is a town manager thing.
Oh, yeah, well, he's been part of this, and I have explained to him the
Yeah,
need for
yeah,
this, and the fact that just this emergency connection is a huge step
What
forward
about,
for
what's
us.
this, Mike? Is Mike still on the board?
In Hopedale?
No, Mike, Mike.
Oh, Mendon,
Mike Morelli, yeah,
yeah.
he's not the chair. Well, I don't know who the new chair is.
But he's got connections over there. Is he involved? Does he know what's going on
Well,
with
no, His son works for the town of Hopedale as their treasurer.
Oh, that's a connection.
Okay,
I didn't know
actually,
he worked for the town.
actually, his discussions before we had a town manager, I think PO'd the town manager at Hopedale off.
Probably.
I do know that Jeremy and Hopedale have had some meetings about stuff, so I think they have a relationship.
Mitch,
I'll-
Jeremy,
Yeah, I'll follow up with Jeremy.
Yeah, because us sitting here talking about this, I'm 100% with you.
we have no say, we have no say in it today.
Not really.
You know, the unfortunate thing is this all,
You know, but
10 years
it
ago,
benefit,
plan.
not just us, but it would benefit the town.
Well, here,
And Hopedale too.
okay, but here's what happens. If we're not allowed to put it in, either us paying or their contractor doing it, or let us do it
Yeah.
with our own contract while they're doing it, we're stuck at, okay,
Yeah.
we're stuck
it's
at
a high
140.
the men thing we have.
So their planning board did require it because it was a really good.
Some of this
idea.
might
Why did they
be-
take that out?
Let me explain
Outside,
something.
not as part of the board.
When all of the Westcott Road subdivision was built in Hopedale, the developer had a requirement to put a water tank in that development at the highest point
Yeah.
for Hopedale. That development was all in Hopedale and there's a Mendon Road off it.
Yeah.
Okay? He later traded that off for installing a new fire alarm system downtown. And then Hopedale Water Department, about 10, 15 years later, had to pay to put a booster pump where that tank would have gone to get the water pressure up for that subdivision.
Right, yeah,
Things happen like that in various towns,
yeah,
okay? That's not under our purview. It was something that was decided by all of them,
sure.
okay? So if the Hopedale Planning Board removed the requirement, you know, for all we know, the developer went to them and said, this is too freaking complicated, make it easy.
Right, yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And like Dan said, in an ideal world, Hopedale would have required they repave Hartford
entire
Avenue
road,
from
right.
Plain to 140, that, we don't have a stake in that, we don't have a say in it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here and how this wasn't communicated between the towns, and it was several years ago, and
It was several years ago, we didn't have an administrator, maybe, you know, Kim dropped the ball, who knows what happened? But here's the upshot of it, that I see it. If we can't put that crossing in, or have it put in when that road's open, for all intents and purposes, we're back to Cape Road.
Yeah,
Then the question becomes, do we replace it where it is, and then we bear the cost of all the details in replacing it?
so, yeah.
But that was
The
always-
reality is, okay, you're right, that's what we're gonna have to do. If we can't get it, if you can't get a water line, yeah, we're gonna.
So, I mean, we need to get, I think, what you, I think,
no, I think DEP is not thrilled that it isn't calibrated regularly. DEP also really wants monthly reporting, which we're only getting quarterly.
Well, here-
DEP really wants an emergency connection, and then
well,
the
here,
issues with residuals, which this may or may not
Okay.
help,
here's what needs to
which are
happen.
better now.
Here's what needs to happen is Jeremy needs to communicate to the Hopedale Water and Sewer Board, which is elected, and Mitchford City, their town administrator, manager, whatever his title is,
Yeah,
that if we can't make that connection, okay, the meter kit gets replaced on Cape Road, and that's life,
sure.
okay?
As far as the
And
emergency
then
connection goes, we're gonna go.
If we do make the connection,
Yeah.
it's our responsibility to pay for a new meter pit on the corner of Plains or on Plains Road that's more easily accessible.
Yeah,
Although I doubt it will be with 18 wheelers going back and forth, but it's more accessible, it can do what we want. But we're not paying to connect it to,
Well,
yeah,
The ice
all
rink.
over Hopedale, right.
I think that's not, I think Hopedale, based on the conversations we had with Tim when this first started, Hopedale's attitude is if you want the meter replaced, replace it at your expense 100%. They're not paying for anything. They would say fix it again. Oh, we don't
okay,
care.
then basically, you know what?
Tim was the one that suggested Plains Road because he thought it would be easier than
Okay.
dealing with.
Yeah, easy
Well,
to
you know what?
access, yeah.
I think we would operate until we hear differently about extending that thing.
Yeah,
Even if we extend the line across Hartford Avenue, there's no guarantee we can build a meter pit. I think we just ought to operate under the assumption right now that if we do get a crossing, that's for an interconnect at some point, well, we argue who wants to pay to connect it. we should just operate under the assumption, unless we hear by the 2-month period that we can extend that thing, we just ought to start planning that we're replacing the thing in Cape Road and say to the DEP, that's where it goes.
What's the mail
They
right now?
haven't given us any, well, it's not like we're getting ordered or anything, it's just, it's been talked about.
Is it an 8-inch vein or you gonna?
In Mendon, it's an 8-inch asbestos cement, it's a 6-inch meter, I don't know what's in Hopedale. I think the downside is that's some of the oldest stuff in Hopedale,
Okay.
and Plains Road is newer, but.
Okay, well, I just looked at it this way, if we don't hear in a month that we can go across that road,
Unintentional meter in the pit now.
okay, it's how do we in fiscal 26 replace Cape Road? Because we're overdue in replacing.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this thing for 3-4 years.
But we got, you know,
And if we can't cross the road, let's just replace it in Cape Road, that we live with
I
it.
can't believe they want monthly?
Yes,
All other municipalities, it's annual. That's just
I just, every
horseshit.
year we do the ASR, they question that it's quarterly, so it's obvious that it's three the same, you know, because they divide it out,
Give me a break.
and they want, and it would, to go back to the leak detection discussion, it
Yeah.
would be a huge advantage, because what you could do is take a 24-hour meeting there and read the whole system in 24 hours, and get so much data,
God, yeah.
Okay.
it would help us a
but
lot.
I just look at it this way, we don't hear by the time, we don't hear within a month.
Yeah.
That we can go across the
Replace
street.
the meter, yeah.
But we'll have to get
Okay,
prices.
we're in fiscal 26, we just get replaces on replacing Cape Road, we have the meter, what's the cost of getting it out, putting it in, and paying for, 2 cops for 8 hours?
Yeah.
Whether it's Hopedale, Mendon, or
To be like, you
States.
can run an alarm up the road, but.
For what it's worth.
And frankly, we have a state
The house
living in
on
the
the-
town who I would approach and say, grab the detail.
The house on the northwest side of that intersection is for sale.
And it's vacant, even though they repainted it, decided.
Where, Plains Road?
Yeah,
Or,
No, the one on the corner of Hartford Avenue, the one on the corner of Plains Road is for sale right now.
yeah,
And quite honestly, I'll try to get an easement for a future meter pit.
No shit.
I'd buy that future gas station or something, for the
That's right.
intersection.
No, that's not commercial.
No, it's
So, all right, Kevin, I'd like to.
Yeah, I haven't eaten either, so.
Yeah, it's gonna sound low.
So we have nothing else on the agenda, so,
Meeting date, but
okay.
a small problem.
Yep, you're probably tied up.
July.
So the next meeting date in July would be the 3rd, but it's the day before the 4th, so it's a horrible spring.
Okay, the 11th, I'm sorry, the 10th?
And then I'm booked every single Thursday night from then on. So we can meet, we just probably should meet like at the library or something, just because that'd be all the kids doing parade.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute, it's the next Thursday is
The first,
July 3rd.
right.
But you,
That's the Harvels Parade.
So we can meet, we just probably, I don't know, this space may be difficult to get to, that's all.
Well, it's a crappy day, it's a holiday anyway.
Yeah.
Why don't we just go to the 10th?
I can't meet,
you can't do anything after
I
that.
can't meet any
So-
Thursday, so we can meet another day of the week, I just
You
can't.
gotta go to the library.
So-
Yeah, library, well, can we get it?
Or we can wait a little bit, we can meet the 14th, 15th.
I would shift it to when you're free, but let's not do the
I can't
3rd.
do,
Or wait
I
till
can-
August 7th.
Can you do August 7th?
well, I think we wanna be, I'd like to find out what the hell's going on top.
We'll get an update with this, but.
Yeah, it's for the, you have to give us an update.
All right, we're at June 5th, the normal meeting would have been July 3rd.
Yeah,
Personally, I think it sucks to have a meeting the day before a holiday.
I'm with you.
Look, everybody I know is taking a long.
I could meet on the 2nd, if that's viable,
That's a Wednesday.
it's a Wednesday.
I can do that.
It
I
might
could do
conf-
that.
It might conflict with a select board meeting, if we'll meet down here, so.
So we'll meet here.
Yeah.
I can do the 2nd.
Okay.
Or we could meet. Or we could push it, it would have to go like the 14th, 15th is a Monday or Tuesday,
That's too far.
I can't do Tuesday.
and then that's.
Do you want to meet Wednesday the 2nd here?
10 minutes early.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 2nd at 7 o'clock?
Just that was the date, because that's how
Okay.
stuff comes
I'm gonna
out.
be here, tell them.
Yeah,
7 o'clock,
All right,
tentative.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Right here a second.
okay. Here or someplace else?
No, we meet here.
be here,
Sure.
yeah, we're good.
Okay.
No problem.
Do you second adjourning?
Yep.
Okay, so Vin Roy made a motion at 8:26 to adjourn the meeting, seconded by Alan Kent. Kevin Rudman makes it unanimous. We are adjourned.
Roy, aye.